Clickbait titles you won't believe.
Number 10. Watch this cat and this dog do something amazing.
Number 9. Can you believe this photo of your mother?
Number 8. Local woman loves the FoundryCast. You can't believe why.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the FoundryCast. I'm Cyrus.
And I'm Zach.
And we are buzzing off of a couple changes that you've probably already seen and heard. We've officially gone to the FoundryCast as the full name of what we are and what we do, as opposed to just being the Foundry. Mm-hmm. So that extends to our entire web presence, anything else we do from now on. So we've made some adjustments on Facebook and on the website.
Yep.
You can now see us at thefoundrycast.com.
Yep, we have a normal, everyday website.
Very excited about that. That's been a big change coming.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's nice to kind of solidify things a little bit. We're not splitting our name as much. It's nice to have a big boy website.
Yeah, no kidding.
I will say that.
That is pretty cool.
Instead of the old one where we had to spend 5 minutes trying to figure out what it was so we could say it at the end of an episode. So now it's just the FoundryCast.com, FoundryCast.com.
And what's really cool is that over the next few weeks, we're going to continue to incorporate that. I think splashing it in the videos, having that, what we've been learning to do with the imagery on top of a Twitch stream, or when we go away, it says, "Hey, to see more, thanks for watching. Go to this here."
Yeah,
that can do nothing but help us.
Yeah,
and then we're looking at combining our streams as well, not necessarily just like Twitch streaming, but trying to incorporate everything into a more cohesive voice, so that your views become my views become your views, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, by the time you hear this, we should have a cohesive single YouTube presence under the FoundryCast that then also that posts our channel, both of our channel stuff together. Mm-hmm. So we'll link to that from the website and from our Facebook and all that good stuff too.
And so with a lot of excitement, I've also been paying attention to nerd news, and there have been a couple shows that have been announced to be coming or coming back. That's kind of the cool thing. Earlier we were talking about Young Justice.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show started.
And that was announced back in early November, and not much more information, except for maybe some plot points have come out about that one. So we're still waiting to hear more on that. That one I'm very excited about. It's going to be on Netflix, and we have 2 other shows coming to Netflix, one of which I think you've already discovered. Yeah. And that's going to be Bill Nye Saves the World.
Yeah, oh yes, I saw that too, which is going to be exciting. I love Bill Nye. And
did you see the preview for it?
I haven't watched the preview yet, no.
It's going to be a very interesting hybrid talk show, science show. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of what Alton Brown was doing on the road. I don't know if he's still doing it, but it was a live gastronomy and music show. So it's a little different form of entertainment, but with a live audience as opposed to just a single camera or 3 camera set. So that looks really fun because he's got a ton of celebrity guests. It seems like he's not going to be afraid. This isn't just for kids. It's still going to be sciencey, but he's going to tackle some hot issues and argue things that he's been a very strong, and almost hate to say political voice in the last couple of years.
It's sad to say that science has now been politicized, but it really has. And he's in the forefront of arguing for reason in science and learning, and sadly that is a political issue now. And
I do think he has a better standpoint than some other people in the scientific community who I think are still sort of elitist. Maybe that's not the right word. Yeah. But they're still very condescending in their tone.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I'm not a... Neil deGrasse Tyson is probably the best example. I'm not a big fan of him, just the way he carries himself. He comes off, like you say, kind of... elitist is not the great...
It's not the word I'm thinking of, but I can't think of one better at the moment.
Just kind of jerky about it.
He is.
Holier than thou, kind of...
Instead of finding a way to describe it to someone... He's not afraid of calling them out as stupid.
Yeah. And I respect that to a certain extent, but I also, I grew up being a huge fan watching Carl Sagan, and that's kind of, that to me, that's how you teach science. is look at how amazing science is. That's what gets me excited. You don't get me excited for a subject by calling me stupid for not being interested
Well,
in it.
and to be fair, Neil deGrasse Tyson, a lot of what he does is that wonderment of science. It's when he gets in the conversation with people
it's
that he
his
doesn't
public
agree
persona,
with.
his Twitter persona, and that kind of stuff.
It's a little too rough.
Yeah.
Bill Nye always makes me inspired. It makes me think that even if I disagree with him, I think he's the nicest guy, and we would shake hands warmly at the end of the conversation and go separate ways. But also, what a great icon for the younger generation who are now becoming adults to remember science and to get back into reasoning things out and not just believing what you're told. And if it's like Mr. Rogers or when we were real young kids, Mr. Wizard from Nickelodeon.
I love Mr. Wizard,
If you had a picture of Mr. Wizard, I don't know if I'd remember his face.
You would, because you'd recognize that with the sweater,
like the
behind the little counter and the really crappy production quality.
And it's just like his home. It really was his home. It wasn't even a set. And gonna need another Timmy. But another show, I don't know if you caught this, and I think it's right up your alley. Coming out in I wish I had the date. I think it's like November, sometime later this year. Castlevania.
I saw that. I didn't look into it.
Animated like an anime style series.
Yeah.
They have yet to release any footage or any photographs of the art style, and they're hesitant to say what it is, but they said if you like the Judge Dredd comics, you're going to love this. And it's a very hard rated R.
Yeah, I saw that where they were talking about it being gritty, and I'm kind of bummed about that.
It's Castlevania.
Yeah, but for me, horror is the most fun when it's tongue-in-cheek and a little silly. And I think Castlevania is kind of a little silly. To take horror and be like, ooh, here's the Frankenstein monster, he's a badass.
I felt like it was the other way around. That was the first time that the Universal monsters were portrayed in a way that was dark and scary. Otherwise, I'd play ghouls and ghosts.
I agree. It is dark and scary. Castlevania, compared to Ghouls and Ghosts, or a lot of other things, is darker and scarier, but it still has that, like, cartoonish, wink, wink, this is still fantasy kind of feel to it.
I think they may give us some of that, too. It sounds as if there's going to be a good balance. From what I read, it seems like it's going to be based on the story more from Castlevania 3. Yeah. So there's a lot for them to work with there. I'm really excited for this. I think Netflix has become... people have been trying to do stuff on Hulu and Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime still, to me, doesn't seem to really be taking off when it comes to original content.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of Amazon Prime stuff. I have it just to have Prime, but watching a little bit of the Top Gear guys, their new show is on there. It's been okay. It's not as good as the old Top Gear, but it's decent. I tried to watch Man in the High Castle, which a couple other people I've seen have talked about how good it is. Couldn't get into it. I don't know. I need to try it again. But yeah, it's so-so. But Netflix is putting out some
out a lot of good stuff. Yeah. And I think they're also finding people who are already producing things and greenlighting their projects, as opposed to feel like Amazon Prime is trying to come up with stuff. Like YouTube Red is just trying to come up with things instead of producing necessarily people who already have great ideas and just want to make it a reality. It's almost like they're programming to the program instead of letting the artists speak.
If you come up with the idea of let's have this channel, let's have this content thing, without already having the content, you do have to we got to fill airtime. It's like the early network television, they just got to fill airtime.
Remember when Fox came out?
Oh yeah, and it was they just had to fill airtime.
Everything was about let's be edgy.
Yeah.
And so in Living Color and Married with Children, and Simpsons, and then all of a sudden they had to back it off because nobody is watching it, and they had to have some better sitcoms. Living Single and Martin and things like that spoke to the audience. And I think Netflix is going there, and it's great that they are realizing that a lot of their culture come from the binge watchers who do like animated series. Yep. Voltron came back. I've barely got into it, but from the 2 episodes I saw, it's got some promise. They just released a 2nd season. There are a couple other animated movies or rather series that they've come out with that It's an exciting time to have a Netflix or Hulu and Amazon Prime accounts.
Yeah. There's one other, actually, I saw today, speculation about something else coming back. It's not for sure yet. Not for sure at all.
Legends of the Hidden Temple?
No.
I thought they were going to do that. But they were going to make it... They actually did make Legends of the Hidden Temple as like a Nickelodeon...
Like a made-for-TV movie or something?
Yeah, it was terrible.
No. This is much, 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 much bigger in nerd culture.
Hey, dude.
No, nor is it Salute Your Shorts, although either of those being reviewed, I would be on board for.
Sure.
No, we're talking about a big franchise that people have been scrambling for a reboot.
Reboot?
Well, not a reboot, but a recontinuation.
No, but the show Reboot.
Reboot would be good too. That was a good freaking show. No, not animated though.
Okay, what is it?
No?
What?
No,
I don't know.
Firefly.
I don't even want to hear this right now, sir.
Excuse me. Fox is interested in rebooting Firefly.
Well, rebooting?
Restarting. It doesn't specify.
Please. I
but
know they
according to the article that I see, is there is one catch that they insist on to do it. And it's that Joss Whedon has to come back and do the show.
He would do it if Fox gave him whatever he wanted.
That's the question, can they work that out?
I think most of the cast could make it. Nathan Fillion isn't tapped down to something. Alan Tudyk is currently doing what looks to be a terrible show on CW about... He is Bruce Wayne's cousin who is running Wayne Industries.
God.
But they make like...
They're going to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
But it's in the world of superheroes, and they're the company who make the things to protect the normal people from superheroes, like a lead umbrella. And then they have these rocks fall, and the umbrella's fine, but it breaks the neck of the dummy underneath it because the person couldn't hold it up. And it's also got Vanessa Hudgens.
Is it called Agents of Beald or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure he could get time away from that. Yeah. I don't think it'll last. Again, I don't know for certain what these people have going on, but Jewel, who is Kaylee, I think she's available. Summer Glau is always doing smaller projects. Gina Torres, she's done some bit roles lately. I don't know if she's committed to a show. Unfortunately, we lost Ron Glass in the last year. And, because they killed off Shepard Book's character anyways, it's not a big deal. But I did read some of what might have been if the show kept on, and his character would have been much more important.
Well, so that's what I'm reading about here in this article. They're saying it could potentially either be a continuation or a hard reboot. So if they went a hard reboot, they could bring all the characters back.
Then they'd have to have someone else play Shepard Book.
Well, you could just, I don't know. You could bring the character back with a different actor, or I don't know.
Well, then again, I said Alan Tudyk, but then his character died.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, by the way.
What? If you are talking about Firefly, you should freaking know this.
But yeah, no. I just thought it was interesting because it's always been that thing that's like a nerd trope about like, oh, they should bring Firefly back, and now it sounds like there is a very, very, very off chance.
If Joss Whedon told me it's going to be okay, I believe him.
Yeah, I think this is Fox saying this. So yeah. That's about worth as far as you can throw it. If it was Joss Whedon saying it, it'd be a little different.
Yeah, there have been times before in his shows that I could tell he was telling me through his characters, it's going to be okay. And I believed him. And we went through some hard times together, but we had some decent series finales. He and his whole family are doing, I think, Marvels, no pun intended, with the Marvel Universe, movies and television shows.
Yeah, does he have anything else? I mean, all he has to do is just make a Marvel movie every other year and just print money. I don't see any reason why he needs to come back and do Firefly.
I think he would because he never wanted to see it go the way it did. And he also knows that it's because of Firefly and the fans who love him that he got the Marvel jobs. Yeah. He deserves them, don't get me wrong, but that's the reason why. You got my heart jumping out of my chest right now, Zach.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if anything... I doubt anything will come of it, but...
So this afternoon I was watching a video from one of my favorite YouTubers, and she was reviewing some information about the new WoW tokens that have been out for a while. But the concept is that you can go and spend $20 and buy this token that you can put in the auction house and sell through the auction house of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And people could bid gold on it, and you receive gold. Now, when they have that token, it is worth $15 to them that they can use for any real-world-based digital content to put back in the game.
Yeah, a new mount or something.
New mount, skins, for anything in Blizzard. Right. So it's sort of universal. It could also be used for game time.
Right.
And so depending on what the price of gold is, right now I think the token average is like 78,000 gold.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Which is high.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But some people who have money-making schemes can probably generate that in a month and play for free.
Yeah, I was looking at that last time I was playing WoW and like trying to figure out. But it's basically you'd have to just play most of your day, every day, dedicated to generating gold to be able to get enough gold to pay for the month you're playing.
If you're smart and you have the right equipment and you're doing your dailies, I think it does require a heavy commitment. But if this is your huge hobby, it can be done.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting aspect, an interesting addition to the game, another way for Blizzard to make money.
Do you have a problem with that, though? Because I was trying to think about this as, are they filling a need that's there, that we always say, like, I think it'd be cool if you could play so good and so hard that you win free game time.
Yeah, play for free.
Because you're already playing really hard to unlock things within the game.
Yeah.
This is just another way of doing that? That having your in-game money means something out of game? And then at no point is there anything unsavory trading hands between players having to do with money.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You're generating money out of nothing. And I don't know where...
Bitcoin, you generate money out of electricity, basically.
And I find that to be... There's some real big ethical problems I've always had with Bitcoin and the things like it. Here... I'm sending money to Blizzard, and they're basically getting $5 out of it for free.
Yeah.
And then $15. Let's say I'm selling it to you, and you get the $15 worth, and you just use it to buy skins and stuff. Yeah, you're getting all $20, but for only $15 worth of, air quotes, merchandise.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an issue with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've talked to a couple of friends about this in the past, and I'm at the point now where I really think that Blizzard should take WoW free to play. I think it's time.
They've added some really cool things where you can play up to level 10.
Yeah, which I think is a great idea to get people hooked into the game.
Yeah.
And
they've sped that up a little bit. They've added more things at that first level to make it kind of interesting.
Yeah.
To pull people in. But
it also goes super fast. Like, you can go to level 10 in, like, no joke, 30 minutes now. It's ridiculous how fast you level up. I don't know. I think it's time to just take it free to play, and they won't, because there's still too much money in the auction house and in the mounts and stuff. But take it free to play. Make the mounts and vanity stuff cost real money, extra. Maybe toss an ad in there, too. I'm not opposed to ads in games if it makes them free to play. I'm really not. I don't know. I think make it free to play. Get rid of this kind of, like, pay to get free game time kind of stuff. I think they have enough players. I think it would bring some players back if they knew they didn't have to pay for the game anymore.
But does that alienate the people who've already paid for it? For example, let's say Warcraft and the new edition is called Cartoon Heroes. I don't know. Well, I just paid for Legion.
Yeah.
And before that, I paid for flipping... Oh gosh, what was it? Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah.
Before that, I paid for Mists of Pandaria. Before that, I paid for Cataclysm, and gosh, Burning
Burning Crusade?
Burning Crusade, or that was
more recent. I don't know.
Burning Crusade, and
I've forgotten the order already, but no big deal.
The point being, I have paid for all these.
You have this sunk cost into
expansions.
The game.
But if you started playing today, all you would have to do is basically buy Burning Legion.
Right. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. You've got
everything else before that's unlocked. Mm-hmm. And so every time a new expansion comes out, I have to rebuy the game. Or I can only play up to a certain point, and then I'm done and I've stopped. I feel like I've invested so much. If you get to a point where it's free to play, then the people who've already paid for it should get some incredible... I mean, not for the game time, but for the actual expansions of the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you need to still pay for the full game, and then monthly pay free.
And even that would be okay to me. Still make it charge for the game. Mm-hmm. Still charge for the game, charge for the expansions, but just make the game time free. I don't think anybody would take fault, would take umbrage with. Guess what? You don't have to pay your $10 a month or $15 a month anymore. You still have to pay the $50 for the expansion, but
right now it's evident that their focus is kind of like us on the Foundry. Look at your website, then go to mine, then go check this out over here, because they're doing something from now to the middle of March. You can get a really cool looking mount if you play as a Warcraft character in Heroes of the Storm and play with your friend for 15 matches.
Yeah.
And then they have to play as a, whatever. And once you do that, you automatically get it in the game. Yeah. You want me to play another game?
You're trying to get me to play another game so that I can have stuff in this game?
This game.
Yeah.
Or
it's a little weird.
You can buy this thing and then unlocks. You get a costume in this one game, but you get a mount in this game, and you get a pet in this other game. I only want to play the one.
Yeah.
Why do you?
Yeah. Why are you making me go play other games so that I can have the stuff I want to play?
They've clearly been merging Diablo and Warcraft.
Yeah.
Very successfly, I might add.
I'm still shocked that they haven't made it to where you can walk into an inn in World of Warcraft and start a game of Hearthstone.
Why not?
Why doesn't that happen?
They
that
already
seems
added
natural.
Hearthstone card collectibles
in the game.
In the flipping game.
Let's just integrate the two together. I don't know.
That would be kind of fun, because if I knew I've only got however much time, don't make me log out and log into Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I walk in, the camera pans in close, like it's zooming in the back of your head.
Now you're playing
down
Hearthstone.
On the table, you're playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun way to take it. I don't know that they will. I don't know. I'm not sure really what Blizzard's goal is, where they're trying to make their money. I guess it's just with the vanity stuff and the extra charges. It's kind of weird. I wish that they would go back to just making games and charging $60 for a new game and be done with it. But I guess that's the way that industry is going. And
in their defense, they've done a lot for Make-A-Wish Foundation and a lot of their charity. The pet that you could buy this time around, what was cool is if you bought it in-game, 100% of proceeds went to the charity. 100%. Yeah. If you bought the plushie, only like 15%, maybe 25%. But that's because they had to make the animal. Right. Yeah, basically, all the profit fee to it, is going. Yeah. So I appreciate that. They're trying to do something good. They're allowing us nerdy folks to try to do something good with our money. Plus, I mean, Blizzard, everything they make is always top-notch quality. It's not like some of the other people that are spitting out shovelware and asking you to pay out the nose for it. I don't mind necessarily paying a little bit extra to a company like Blizzard that I know whatever I pay that extra $5 for is going to be really cool. And their weekly updates are purposeful and all the patches, and they're constantly bringing new content. So I would never bash this company that I've fallen in love with over and over again. Sometimes I just wonder if they're nickel and diamond too much, or at least starting to. Yeah. So tonight I've got a table topic for us. I don't know why I pluralized that, but usually when we do table topics, we talk about almost like, I guess, kind of advice, sort of. We're talking about like what works for games and what people can do to like our point of view. Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit more opinion rather than like what do you like personally. Yeah. But hopefully it'll be a little helpful too. But I was thinking today, actually,
we had the FoundryCast question of the day came out talking about favorite magical items in D&D, and I said deck of many things because I like the chaos that it can create in a game and like the silly fun stuff. And I started thinking a little bit about silly fun and that sort of mood in a game. And I was just going to get your opinion about what do you think about not humor necessarily in a game, not like, oh, this is a funny situation or character, but a humor as a theme in a game. Having a game centered around being light and being a little silly and having fun.
Sure.
Can you do that? You know, well, obviously you can, but how much is too much? I guess I should say. In that, you know, how can you go too far overboard where everybody's just always kidding around and they're trying to have their character do the silliest, wackiest thing in any situation, and they're trying to one up each other? I mean,
yeah, what do you think? My opinion is obviously a cop out at the beginning. It depends on the group.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely an answer for almost any D&D question.
But I think in this case it's even more true because the pacing of the individual group could range from lighthearted, campy fare to very serious, very solemn moments of joy and laughter are rare, and it even has nothing to do with the setting. I think of what I can tell from our friends who played Vampire and World of Darkness. It seemed like a lot of what they did was so unbelievably serious that moments of levity were almost alien and so very rare that they would almost prefer it to be the dark and the brooding and the very serious, soul-searching, very theater-based. And that's great. You know, that is a lot of fun, and it's easier to build your character based off of realistic, dramatic moments as opposed to joking, because a lot of times humor will pull you out of the moment so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that sort of seriousness fits that setting of World of Darkness, to be very specific. It's hard to inject a lot of humor into that setting. I think you can, but it's hard. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, where do you draw the line when it comes to joking and humor, where you want your players to be having fun and you want them to be enjoying themselves and being lighthearted when they can, but how much is too much to encourage that to the point where you're trying to have a serious moment and suddenly somebody cracks a joke and it ruins all that tension you built?
Okay, so I will call to a moment that happened in the Star Wars game because it is probably the most remembered and celebrated of a lot of the games that we've played, where there was a moment between a character and his father, and it was very emotional, and we all felt it was happening. And one of the players was geeking out and making noises and squawking, and I had to tell them, shut up. I wasn't trying to be rude, but shut up, something's happening right now. And we're all on the edge of our seat. We're wanting to make noises. It's very easy to make some kind of a joke at that moment. If someone joked and tried to say, oh, and this character goes and kisses his father on the lips instead of letting the tension play out, it could have ruined that moment completely.
Right.
I've had it happen in some of my games where I'm trying to build something and someone else feels like it's time to break the moment however they do it, whether it be looking at Facebook on their phone or trying to interject a joke, make a that's what she said moment. And if that happens, you know, the most thing you can do is go, hey, serious guys. Or then you tell everyone, roll for initiative. You throw something like that at them or make a perception check. Make a will save. You say something like make a will save, everyone will shut up because they know will save means something really freaky is happening. Reflex, something's shooting at you. What's the other one? Fortitude, something is happening to your body, but will save is of the mind, and that doesn't happen all the time.
Something's gonna fundamentally change about your character.
So if it breaks the moment that I've purposefully maybe not crafted in advance, but maybe I here we are, I'm trying to get to this point, and someone breaks it, I'm going to retaliate.
You're going to punish the player?
Not severely, but I'm going to now increase the difficulty of this situation, of this challenge. However, I think it's very important, as many things are, to have a conversation with that person. If you know about it beforehand, you do it before the game. If it happens during the game, you don't try to call them out specifically.
Yeah.
You just increase the challenge in the moment, and maybe that tells them, oh, shoot, I need to be quiet. But if they don't seem to get it, I would still talk to them afterwards, because everybody, most of the time, want to be there and want to be on the same page. But a lot of people in groups like these, they may have different levels of expectation. Yeah. I think this is funny. They think that is funny. And if you don't tell them...
It can be night to night, too. It can be...
Truly.
This day, I had a really good day where I was joking around with friends, and I come into the game feeling extra funny and extroverted, and so I'm going to make more jokes, Whereas you had a bad day at work, and something's going on in your family, and so you're going to be grim and extra...
But hey, you can let that play out between characters in the right kind of way. If your character's a little zany and they're being a little extra zany, if they're in character making those decisions, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do something stupid in character and then let the dice roll as they may. If you're doing something out of character is really the problem.
Yeah, I think that's a good point where, if you're having a tense moment and somebody's making an out-of-character joke, like that's what she said, I think that's a point where you need to, hey, shut up, no, that's not appropriate, rein it in. And I think that goes down to just a conversation we've had before, but it's an idea of table etiquette, to where if you're at the table and the game is being played, you're in the game. And I mean, we've played with some in some groups where if you say something, your character says it.
Yeah.
Like anything that you say,
your character
is being said.
A guard escorts you through the palace, and you're about to go in the throne room, and then you turn to your buddy and jokingly say, "Yeah, I can't believe they sent us to kill the king."
Yeah.
If the guard is within hearing range,
guards just heard you
say that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to approach that sort of thing, to where if somebody's trying to be funny and work at his little, then okay, wow, your character just said that, and they're going to no, I didn't say. Oh yeah, they did. And now
you absolutely just did, and that'll squash their problem really fast when they're being thrown in jail or being attacked by the head of the city guard, who is 5 levels above the players, and they do everything they can to just survive or escape. There are a couple ways to reroute the game in the moment. Sometimes you just have to deal with it and address them afterwards, because everybody's going to be different, and maybe they didn't pick up that they were being extra annoying that night or extra insensitive to the needs of the rest of the group.
The situation. Yeah, I also like the idea of setting that rule in place early, so that, because I think it pushes people who, if you want to bring humor to the game, awesome, but you're going to do it in character, and that makes the humor better and more meaningful, I think, to where if you're going to be the funny bard, you can be the funny bard.
Heck yeah.
But you're going to be a bard. You're not going to be Zach making the joke about being a funny bard. So I think if you can set those expectations early in a game, it can solve a lot of these problems.
Yeah, and if you're not playing with immature teenagers, odds are your problems are going to be people are quiet and boring more than they are energetic and wanting to create.
They're going to be disengaged and on
moments.
Their phone rather than interrupting. And
So I would rather have that problem. I think it'd be easier to work with than the latter. So you definitely don't want to squash their creativity. Like, hey, be funny, but be the court jester.
Yeah, be it in character. Find ways to make your character funny.
Don't make quite as bad a joke when you're about to die. So coming off the heels of our table topics portion, I want to talk a little bit about Games Workshop and their Warhammer series.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, I think it's been a couple of weeks since it went through, but PETA has sent a letter and is asking Games Workshop to make Warhammer fur free.
Oh, no, I did see
Did you see this?
So the minis aren't wearing fur
They're
anymore?
asking them not to wear fur.
Yeah.
And this upset me. However, it upset me for different reasons. It's not necessarily what they're asking, although having read portions of what they sent in, it at first you think it's almost a joke, but they're always very serious. Here's one statement. The battle-hardened warriors are known for their martial prowess, but wearing the skins of dead animals doesn't take any skill. Okay, they're being very condescending there. And then they talk about rabbits and their clothes. And while we appreciate that these are fictional characters, draping them in what looks to be a replica of a dead animal sends the message that wearing fur is acceptable, when in fact it has no more place in 2017 than it would be in the year 40,000.
Okay. Let me first respond to this by saying that I am in no way okay with cruelty to animals. I personally don't like the idea of wearing fur unless it's a deer that I killed and ate all the meat and I make a coat out of the deer.
But even then, was it? Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I'm definitely on board with. I'm generally a fairly pacifist kind of person. I don't want to hurt animals. I love animals and I don't want them to suffer and anything like that. That being said, do they know what grimdark means? Because in the grimdark future of Warhammer, there is only war, there is no fur.
True.
There is no animal rights.
I think part of the argument, which they're not truly making, because they don't care about people.
Right.
It's not about human rights. It's about protecting animals.
Yeah.
Who don't have a voice, who don't have a say in the matter.
Well, bears do.
And sharks. Sharks can.
Sharks, if they're mad at you, they let you know.
But we're so superior. How dare we use them for what we want? Now, I'm not trying to argue PETA. It's more of the tactics that they're using here.
Yeah.
Number one, it's not actually fur. It's a depiction of fur in plastic miniatures.
Yeah.
In the far distant fictional future.
Yeah.
And I think part of the argument, if they were making it this way, was if you had slave women who were being raped, that's not okay because there may be people playing these games. If you normalize it, that's bad.
Yeah, I can understand that argument of, like you said, normalizing something. If you're saying that if you have people wearing fur and that's in any way accepted, then it's accepting the idea of wearing fur. But
it's not. You are not in the game fighting animals, killing animals, skinning them for fur.
Yeah.
You are simply a character wearing clothes, and if they happen to have fur on you, I don't think the players go, "Oh, so my space Viking, he went and slayed 1,000 beavers, and their pelts have made his luxurious coat."
Yeah.
That's not what it is at all. This is PETA trying to find any way they can to be relevant in different media.
Yeah, so I was going to say, they're just trying to find publicity, because that's what they do.
And they've got it. They didn't get a ton out of it because Games Workshop hasn't replied, nor will they, because
nor should they.
It's an obscene, obtuse,
it's silly
request.
It's a little silly. Yeah, like I said, I can see the perspective of not wanting to normalize it, but beyond that, I mean, I'll say violence and rape and other things are in that setting too. And I don't know of anybody with a sane mind who looks at the Warhammer 40k setting and says, "Wow, I want to live in that setting. Wow, I sure do."
I can think of
look
one
up
person.
to those. No, not in the normal. Nobody says, "Wow, I sure do want to live in the Imperium and be indoctrinated into an evil cult that wants to." The setting is grimdark. The setting is very, very negative. I think people like it because you can enjoy that setting in spite of how horrible it is. And you can recognize, holy crap, that is a horrible place with horrible people doing horrible things.
Yeah, but over time, the more it's like watching horror movies. After a while, the blood and gore doesn't bother you. You still think it's terrible, you think it's scary, and you think this is awful, and I never want to hang out with Freddy Krueger. But by the time the sixth movie rolls around, he jabs his bladed fingers through someone's chest. I'm not geeking out scared anymore. It's just not going to affect me. I think a point could be made about normalizing something.
Yeah.
But when this isn't even an aspect of that, this one person's wearing tattoos, we think you should not mutilate your body. I mean, it's a different banner that they're flying, but for whatever reason, the game isn't about tattoos. The game is about if I had an app that was go shoot an animal and throw the carcass away because it's funny, and they found out about that, I could see that being offensive. They went petitioned, boycotted, and made a game about Super Meat Boy. And it was like Super Tofu Boy. And the creators couldn't be more thrilled. Like, thank you. You're trying to ridicule us. If anything, you just sent us another 5,000 people to buy the game.
Not that they need any more publicity, but
no.
I think PETA reminds me of other organizations like, and if you're a member of PETA listening, forgive me for comparing you to these people, but the Westboro Baptist Church.
I was wondering. I thought
it's the same sort of. They're disingenuous. They're protesting something not because they believe it's wrong, but because they just want the attention. Because they want revenue.
It has nothing to do with their mantra and what they truly believe. It's the tactics they're willing to go to that are just as unethical in different ways compared to what it is. Like, we need to protect baby seals. But this company that is doing nothing wrong, not even remotely, we're going to send a sternly written letter urging you to join the light side of the force. Like, yes, we apologize. We are going to take all those Vikings, and they will go to a friendliness seminar, and they will have new woven fabrics made of cotton and linseed.
Synthofur. And they'll no longer use guns. They'll hug their enemies and talk it out. And where do you draw the line about like, oh, well, violence is wrong. Yeah, well, okay. So I guess it's not a tabletop war game anymore. It's just a bunch of miniatures that move around a map and hug each other. Like, I understand whether...
Hey, we may have something there.
That's an idea. A tabletop hug simulator?
Hug Hammer.
Hug Hammer.
War Hugger.
40K. 40K hugs.
So coming to your tabletop soon. War Hugger 40K.
Hug it out.
You can paint the minis. They have interlocking arms for hugging.
Yeah, you can like put a little. You push the button on the back, and they go move their arms like they're hugging. They're patting it out. You know.
You get larger and larger units. That have bigger arms and different hugging apparatus.
Well, I hug your guys for 1,000,000 hugs.
Oh man, I've never been hugged so hard.
My guys are out of their hug points for the day. Now they've got to take a candy nap.
Well, as silly as that sounds, PETA and their letter sounds sillier to me. I'm currently working on a blog, and I may just scrap it with our conversation tonight.
All right.
About Witches and Wizards Month. I grew up thinking about what wizard meant at the time. It was all this iconography that was Tolkien in nature.
Yeah.
I wasn't really in the Dungeons and Dragons sphere, but if you said wizard, to me that was synonymous with sorcerer.
Yeah.
It was just a wizened old man with a wispy white beard, and he was wearing kind of the not Sorcerer Apprentice.
Pointy cap?
Yeah, the pointy cap with the stars and the moons and the blue robe, and he either had a wand or an orb, and that was it. That was just kind of what a wizard witch, but not a witch. Witches were always evil.
Yes.
Witches were ugly and were black and had the pointy hats as well.
Yep.
And magic was wonderful, but you were either a witch, which was the evil, bad, corrupt side, or you were the wizard that was almost a high holy man.
Yeah.
But usually very old.
Right.
And something happened in our childhood
to change that around,
where people tried to start telling different stories about witches. Now witches could be young women who maybe they had a dark side to them. They wore makeup that was dark and gothy, but they could be attractive, or they could be sassy, or maybe they could be good guys. And wizards could be evil, and wizards could be troublesome. And
Yeah, I was actually having this exact same conversation with somebody just the other day when we were talking, because I was trying to think up some crafting projects for the Wizards and Witches and Wizards Month, excuse me. And I asked the person, what do you think of when you think of wizard? Like, what character, what item? And we were talking about this exact same thing, and she said the same things you said. She said, growing up, I would think of witches as being evil. Yeah. Salem witches, worshipping the devil, cooking children in pots and stuff like that. Right. And wizards were old sorcerer guys. Mm-hmm. For me growing up, I was like, the archetypal wizard for me as a kid was Merlin. Yeah, magician. He was a magician. He wasn't a wizard, but like that wizened old, like wise man kind of thing. And then, witches was the green-faced, the Wicked Witch of the West. I think things changed for me thinking about at least wizards as a growing up playing video games, like RPGs on the PC, where you had wizard characters. But also, actually, wizards, most of the time for me growing up, had a negative connotation, just like witches. Because I saw a lot of stuff like Conan the Barbarian, where wizards were like, they were wizened and old, but they were also kind of fringy and a little bit evil too. Like it was the evil wizard who was trying to kidnap the princess kind of stuff.
Right, but they always said evil wizard.
That's true.
They didn't necessarily have to say evil witch. They'd be like, oh, the witch.
Yeah,
like, okay,
that's very
she's
true.
Evil.
Yeah, there could be good wizards, whereas witches were basically always evil.
He's the evil necromancer. I'm like, well, we probably assume necromancers.
Yeah, necromancers is a safe bet that they're evil. But yeah, I guess like when you talk about witches, it's Harry Potter changed that verbiage. At least I've wondered about that. And I guess I should look into it more about J.K. Rowling when she wrote those books. Does witch have a different connotation in the UK? Well, do you think it had a more positive connotation to begin with? There,
it could be. I think part of what it is, and this is going to be really critical sounding, it has to do with acceptance, and so not all that's bad is good, not all that's good is bad, and I think part of it has to do with somewhat of a weakness of character in people today in their fiction, that there cannot be a paragon of good nor a paragon of evil.
Yeah, nobody's allowed to be you can't be white hat, black hat anymore. Everybody's got to wear gray hats now.
When the original Star Wars was put together, that was truly what was seen as what Jedi meant. George Lucas said that the light side of the Force was about goodness and about humility and being selfless. Right. Being on the dark side of the Force was being selfish, and that you might get a moment of pleasure, but once it's gone, you had nothing. Yeah. And part of where the Star Wars movies are going, which is very, very clear in what they've done in Rebels, is they're almost saying, you were wrong. The furthest of the light side and the furthest of the dark side is causing this problem.
Equally bad.
And it's the gray in the middle. It's the gray Jedi or the gray Force users. That is, you can be a little evil but also be a little good. Yeah. And I think that extends into a lot of popular culture where the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah. She's slaying and killing things. But they're kind of bad guys.
But it's okay.
But now we have vampires that may or may not have a soul. Yeah. Well, then they're not a vamp. But, okay, this vampire doesn't have a soul, but he's a bad guy, but we like him, so he's kind of a good guy. There's a witch. She's doing evil dark magic, but she's a good guy. Here's a werewolf, and you start to blend, and it makes some really interesting stories. Yeah. But it takes away from who is the embodiment of chastity or purity or justice or holiness. Yeah. It's not a fashionable, it's not a cool thing to be a paladin anymore.
And I find that frustrating because you look at, you bring up the original Star Wars, which were straight out of Joseph Campbell, and the hero's journey and like classical mythology. This idea that there are these like permanent themes in human culture that get repeated, and that's what George Lucas pulled upon. And there was pure good and pure evil. And now we're in this realm where pure good and pure evil, like you said, is not cool anymore. And I think that's a disservice because I think Campbell is right. I think there are like true core themes to what humanity is, and the idea of there is good and there is evil, and it's possible, there's a good side. I think that's a powerful image and a powerful idea that we've lost, and it's sad that we've lost that because I don't like the idea of every hero has to be flawed and every bad guy has some good in him, and I think it's a cop-out. I think it's, it was originally done as a way to subvert the idea of good versus evil. There's a shade of gray, but now everything's subverted, so that's the mainstream. So the idea of having, this character is inherently good or inherently evil is subversion again.
Even if you pick a character who's evil, just pure evil, always evil, they're written so poorly that you have to make them redeemable in some way to make them despicable again. You need to make them someone that you almost trust before they betray everybody again. And you're like, how many times are you going to do this? Part of that, I think, extends to the way witches and wizards are presented now, still, that you're not going to have that holy paragon of anything in any way because it can't be well written by people who are writing about that today. There was a time where the noble knight would come through and the choices that he had to make still spoke to you. Yeah. Today, it needs to be the gunslinger with the ruined hand and who has the love making with the ghosts and still blows people's brains out, and he's the hero.
It makes me think of Star Trek, actually. When Star Trek was created, and even in the time of Next Generation, original series Next Gen, Gene Roddenberry's idea of Star Trek was that it was a quote-unquote perfect future. It was a utopia. It was a post-scarcity society where everyone would work to be good. And it was hopeful futurism in his view, and that was important to the core of what Star Trek was. And then after he passed away, and then we had Deep Space Nine come out, which is a great series, but they said, no, we're going to subvert that idea of this perfect utopia and say there's really a dark side underneath, and there's people within the Federation trying to, working to their own goals, and while I really like DS9, it's an entertaining series, in a way it kind of just spit all over what Star Trek was. It said, no, the Federation isn't inherently good, like Gene Roddenberry wanted it to be. It's actually shades of gray. Aren't we trendy and cool?
True.
And I find I hate that. I find that kind of boring in a way. I like the idea of there being a irredeemably evil thing. And I'm thinking about Stranger Things popped into my head. The bad guy, quote unquote, in Stranger Things. The spoiler alert on Stranger Things, you haven't seen it. The monster in Stranger Things is just an evil monster.
Yeah.
There's no attempt to he's from this other alien world.
Let's get to know him.
He has this other habitat and he's just trying to live. No, he's just an evil monster that wants to kill everybody. That's great. I loved it. It worked beautifully. Yeah. Let's have more of that.
Well, and then we get into what the other is, and that's a whole separate series of things because it's not a person with bad intents. It's a creature, or it's something that thinks and feels differently from a different reality or layer of reality dimension that we're on. Doubling back to the wizard and witch side of it, I think that it is very acceptable, and in a role-playing game or in a fictional setting, if you're writing a book, I think it's okay to still have characters where the wizard could be the high might and holy. He doesn't have to have flaws. He could still be sort of an Albus Dumbledore, lovable, noble, trying to do the right thing, makes mistakes, but is ultimately good. Yeah. And that the witches could be ugly faced,
evil and coven,
evil, and it's okay.
Deal with the devil kind of thing, yeah.
And then reverse it around. Sabrina, the good teenage witch, she's a good.
And see, that was a subversion there of the old trope of witches being these heroes. No, she's a cute teenage girl who's really nice.
Well, she was doing that since Archie's days. So I don't know. So, do you know they're looking at bringing her to the new Archie show?
Oh, the TV show?
Riverdale.
Oh, okay.
They've just started. The numbers are okay. They're putting Josie and the Pussycats in there.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's possible they're going to look to see, depending on how the show goes and how weird it gets, if they could bring Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I'd be okay with that. We could use some more witches out there other than Harry Potter that aren't evil witches.
And if it's going to be Melissa Joan Hart, I will watch every episode.
Yeah, I think she's maybe aged out of that role a little bit, but maybe she could be the mother of Sabrina.
Oh, don't you do that to my Clarissa.
As long as Ferguson is there, I'm okay with it.
Whatever happened to Ferguson?
All right, well, I think that's going to bring episode 14 of the FoundryCast to a close. It's been an interesting night. We've kind of been all over the place, and it's been fun. We've just kind of been chit-chatting and wandering and touching on all kinds of topics. So, we announced at the start of the show that we're having some changes to our formatting, to our site. Don't forget, we're at our new website, thefoundrycast.com. You can check us out there.
Foundrycast.com, and then that's it.
That's it.
No, you don't have to add other words and homes. It's amazing.
I'm happy about that.
I actually feel liberated the more I think about it. Mm-hmm. And then I don't have to explain to someone or write it down. What is it? FoundryCast.com.
The FoundryCast.
I said it really quickly.
You gotta be careful. You gotta make sure that
the FoundryCast.
But I don't know. Any other parting thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm trying to work on a few things. Take advantage of a few days over the next 5 to 7 that I have available. My work schedule has shifted, so it's changed what days I have available.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get back into an RPG group on Monday nights, possibly, if everything starts working. So doing that always helps generate ideas, even when I'm playing and not creating. Yeah. But to take advantage of the other days and the other times I have. So I hope to have an instructional video up maybe by the time this podcast goes live. Yeah. It may encroach a little bit onto what you're doing, but I'll do it my way. I'll do my own thing. Yeah. It might be kind of neat to see what you do in your vein. Very similar. Don't want to spoil it. I'd like to kind of hinted at what I was going to do in the last podcast. And then my streaming, I'm going to be doing more crafting, trying to paint some miniatures as I spoke about, I think, off air.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show.
And then just helping tighten up the website, making sure it looks as good as possible.
Yeah, we'll both be working on that a little bit more.
And I'd like to get more of those quick shot vlogs up there.
Yeah, I've been wanting to try and write another one, and I had an idea, and then it went away from me, and I didn't have time to finish it. So I've been trying to think of a couple other quick little posts that I can throw up there.
I want to do one full-size blog for every month theme.
Yeah.
And so it'll take me another couple days or another week or two to come up with something for Witches and Wizards month. Boss Battle month was fun.
Yeah, Boss Battles was good. I mean, it's 2 blogs in one.
It
was really good though.
2 different versions of the way I look at things, because sometimes I'm that way. So I hope to have something up cool with that. You're going to still be streaming and coming up with some things.
I'm going to try and stick to a more regular streaming schedule. Up to this point, I've been doing Thursday nights at 7. I'm going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 to 10, both of those nights for sure. And then I'm really going to try and maybe add on one other evening in addition to that, if I can, to do crafting as well. And then beyond that, some spot streaming too. I've got a couple of YouTube videos that I'm still working on editing and that I want to get up as well that don't involve streaming, that are specifically just for YouTube. And then, like you said, I want to get some more quick shot little blogs written up, and I wouldn't mind doing another big blog or two. I just picked up some new kit for crafting, some resin kit stuff that I'm really excited to get started with. I played around with it a little bit on my stream, and I want to do more of that this week. I've got a couple of different items I want to try and play around with and see if I can get to work. So that'll be sooner rather than later.
You just reminded me, I have 2 projects that I want to get up really, really fast. One is I have 2 unboxings that I've been waiting on, and I just need to film it, put them up, and they may be on YouTube before they hit the FoundryCast page. Yeah. But I don't want them to all hit at once and just be a gob of gunk, but I may spread them out. Yeah. But I've been waiting to do those, and this weekend I'm just going to have to do it. Yeah. Even if it's not optimal filming.
Sure.
And the second is someone I know is wanting to make a piece of terrain, and I've had a lot of experience lately with what they're going for, and it's for a game that I'm going to be playing in, and they're not going the wrong way about it, but I want to maybe find a way to film me giving them advice, or maybe I have a blog that I was going to film. Maybe I'll do it a different way about what to maybe pick when you're deciding to make terrain or getting into making models. Because there are so many material types to choose from. Paper and different types of foam and resin and stone and like plaster. So I'd like to get that up as soon as possible. But that's one that requires even more prep writing. And then do I film this or do I use pictures and do a slideshow? Yeah. So that's one I'm real excited. I think that a lot of people could get something out of getting into the community of crafting like that. Yeah. But dang it, it's been like 2 months of me writing the script because it's my opinion and then other people's opinion. Yeah. Because I haven't had that much resin experience, and that's a bit different than working with, say, plaster. Right. It's still molds and it's still putting something into a relief and having it cure and removing it and adjusting it and painting it and making it beautiful from there. Yeah. So working on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Looking forward to all of this stuff. Yeah, we've got, as always, plenty of stuff in the pipeline. And as we are able to coordinate and streamline kind of our presentation with the FoundryCast, I think all that's going to become easier for us and more streamlined and easier for everybody out there to see and find as well. So,
thank you guys for listening as always.
Yep.
You can find us on the FoundryCast.com.
Yeah, theFoundryCast.com.
9 to 5 Gamer for Zach on YouTube. I'm Crafty Bastard Gamer on YouTube. You're 9 to 5 Gamer on Twitch.
Yep.
I am Crafty B Gamer. I didn't want to curse on Twitch. I felt like it's a little different kind of a community. Crafty B Gamer on Twitch myself. And then everything you can be found at the website with more and more to come. So until next time, I am the Warp Whistle to World 8.
And I am Spud McKenzie's casting agent.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody. Seriously? Is this 1992?